welcome in our buddy Matt George. He is now live at his ABC 10 studios. Matt George. Oh, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good, man. How are you?
Very good, very good.
Matt
KC,
George.
love the Republic kit.
Yeah, man. Shout out to my people over at the Republic. Get well soon, Roro. Those are my people over there for sure, man. Got a big bounce back win last night, over Phoenix. Smacked them boys up, smashed them boys, some people would say.
No.
No. Yeah, let's
no
get
one
back
would.
at it.
And many of us prefer you don't say that. I thought we retired that last year. Just because Connor was egging you on every day to do it doesn't mean you should do it.
I just want to know, when are we going to see pitch side Kenny? They got, I don't know, at Heart Health Park, you got in those corners, they got those nice sofa seats out there. I'm like, man, this is Kenny Caraway vibes. He can put his feet up.
I ain't gonna lie. That's how I need to be out there.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? That's how I need to be out there. Look, I'm not saying I wouldn't go any other way. I'm just saying that's how I need to be out there. I need to be right there on the pitch.
Don't worry about it. The rest of us will happily sit with the people and party with the people in the stands, getting beers dumped all over you every time the Republic score a goal. You can sit there in Plushville.
I am with the people. I'm just with the people on the pitch.
No, you in front of the people. They're looking at the back of your head.
I do need to get out there, though.
It was pretty cool, Matt. Yesterday, Kenny and I did an event at Sky River Casino. We went to see all of the wonderful things that they had going on. Yes, yeah, we had a blast at Sky River. I actually also learned I hate losing fake money. They gave us chips to just like go just to have fun with and compete with each other, do all this different. It turns out I really hate losing money that's not real. I just apparently don't like losing.
Well,
and I had Jody Bacon next to me, just egging me on over.
Jody.
Then I started rage betting, and instead of betting like 50 chips, I was betting like 200, trying to make the money back I lost because of the bad advice I got from Jody a minute ago.
Money, by the way.
The fake money, yes, not, and that's a shoot, like it was fake money. But they let us into Kenny Caraway's high roller room. It was my first time allowed in there, Matt. It was
one. It my high roller room.
They literally. What did Carrie say when she walked us in? Have you guys been in here? I was like, no, I'm not allowed in here. Only Kenny is. And Carrie said, "Oh, that's right. I forgot. Sorry about that. You're welcome to stay in here as long as Kenny is here." And so I was allowed to stay.
So there's a number of things from that I want to react to. Number one is shout out Jody Bacon. She's amazing. Jody Bacon is one of the major reasons why I first got my internship and got into the industry. She's awesome. Number two is I'm pretty sure the only time I've been to Sky River Casino, I accidentally parked in the Kenny Caraway spot. And security immediately started escorting me out and said, "Sir, you ain't that guy."
Yep.
And then finally, speaking of events at Sky River Casino, I'm just waiting for the next D'Lo and KC event because my schedule was not open the first time y'all did it, and I saw the pictures and I was upset. So y'all got to get back out there because I got to get out there.
This could be a tough one.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna be there.
Yeah, I have a feeling you're gonna be busy this night.
Home opener.
Yeah.
It's
Thursday, September 21st.
Not the Kings home opener.
No, the 49ers home opener.
Oh, that's the Thursday night game, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll be in Santa Clara.
Yeah.
I'll be there in spirit.
Okay, you'll be there in spirit.
Do a Sunday game. There's no way I can make it. We can't make it to any Sunday Niner games because our obligations at ABC 10. So a Sunday 1:00 kickoff. I got you. I'm there.
We'll figure out. We'll figure out something. You'll be with us at some point in time.
I'm trying, Jennifer.
Yeah.
I tried to plan a weekend event, and they looked at me like, "You think we need your asses on Saturday or Sunday? Get out of my face and come back on a Tuesday." Okay, sorry.
Hey,
guys.
shout out, by the way. People have been telling me about this game for a long time, and I'm not really that interested. Baccarat is the one. Baccarat, the game to play.
Nah.
Baccarat's the game to play right there.
I never got over to play that. I just played 21.
Oh, man, you can clean up quick in Baccarat.
Put me at a Texas Hold'em table. I'll wipe all y'all. That's my game.
Okay.
Texas Hold'em. That's my game.
Speaking of,
when's the D'Lo and KC poker tournament? That's what I want to know. I'm there for that. I don't care what the obligation is. I'm there for that.
I don't know, but the Uno tournament's coming soon.
Uno ruins families and relationships.
I mean, if we trying to get into spades, we can get into the spades. That's nothing. That's not. I just need a good partner. That's nothing, though.
Uno or spades.
Yeah.
And Matt wants Texas Hold'em. All right. So We'll hold a degenerate gambler night at Sky River Casino that just opens up that high roller to like 50 different games.
Uno doesn't have to have any money on the line. Uno doesn't have to have a single penny on the line to ruin relationships and get people screaming at each other in frustration. That is the essence of Uno.
And same thing as spades.
Coming soon, the Yahtzee tournament. Sky River Casino.
Spades. Well, I tell you, man, partner better be on point. You guys got to be in sync. If not, there might be some furniture moving.
Well, it happens.
Put me and D'Lo on a team just so we can get back to old times.
You were, speaking of the 49ers, you were at training camp yesterday.
Yeah.
How was that?
Great vibes. I mean, I shared with you last year last year was my first real NFL training camp experience. And I really enjoy the environment, and I enjoy it because, I mean, you have the starters out there, the first string guys, the guys that know, okay, I'm here. I'm making the roster. I'm just here to start getting my prep work and ramp it up for the season. But then there's that other half of guys that this is their opportunity. This is their shot. And they treat every day like their last, and those are the guys I love watching. And I was standing on one of the sidelines right by a crowd behind me, and it was great. There were kids all lined up in the front, and they were yelling at George Kittle. And George is such a great person, just personality. He's waving back at them coming up. And then so many of these guys that are like, that these kids don't know and these fans don't know. They're guys that are trying to make the roster. They're just calling them by their number. Hey, 42, hey, come out here, come. And the guys always came over to dap up the kids and stuff like that. It's just really cool. It's a really fun environment to be in if you like football and you want to see guys giving their all. So I love the environment aspect of it. And then paying attention to the football. Like, it's day one of training camp. They're not playing. There's no pads. They're not going too hard or anything like that. But like, Brandon Ayuk looked really, really good. He was working right in front of me like the entire time, and he and Debo were working together the entire time. And then we talked a lot about Ayuk in the press conference afterwards. Shanahan was singing his praises. Debo was singing his praises. George Kittle was singing his praises. Like, Brandon Ayuk looked really, really sharp. And then Brock Purdy didn't practice yesterday. He practiced today. So both Trey Lance and Sam Darnold kind of shared and split the QB1 responsibilities, although it was mainly Trey. And out of the two, I think Trey looked a lot better for it being day one of camp. And Shanahan afterwards was talking about, like, even though Trey's dealt with all the injuries, this is now his third year with the playbook. And he said he's starting to pay attention to and recognize, like, how comfortable Trey is with this offense now and how much he knows it. So even though he hasn't been actually on the field running it, he knows it very well. So I mean, I'm interested to see how that continues through training camp and through preseason.
Do you think there's a realistic scenario where Trey Lance isn't even on this team to start the season?
No. Yes, because I think there is going to be potential trade interest for Trey Lance, but not with the value that I think he's at. Like, I think if what I think is going to happen, which is Brock Purdy is named the guy, I think there will be a team or two out there, maybe the Bengals right now with what's happening to Burrow, but there might be a team or two out there that's going to contact the Niners and go, look, he's not even your starter anyway. We know Brock Purdy's your guy. Here's like a 4th round pick or whatever. And then the Niners will go, we expect more than that. We still believe in our guy. Plus, what happened last year, if I'm Kyle Shanahan, I'm bringing like 7 QBs into the regular season, and I'm still feeling like that's not enough. So I think Trey Lance is going to be a Niner when the season starts, and we'll see where it goes from there. But I would be surprised if Trey Lance is gone.
You think he's the backup quarterback when the season starts?
I do, yeah. Unless something kind of drastic would have to happen during preseason. And I'm not talking about injuries. I'm just talking about if it's a battle between Purdy and Lance's experience with the playbook, comfort with the offense, and ability to make plays with his legs while also being good in the pocket. I think all that would need to happen for him to have a chance to usurp Purdy. I think that's Purdy's spot.
Yeah, it sounds like there ain't no battle for one.
Yeah, it doesn't.
The battle is between Brock Purdy and his elbow ligament. That's the battle. That's the only thing that could beat him.
Well, again, based on what we saw a few moments ago out of Cincinnati, ligaments usually win. So obviously 2 totally unrelated situations. Yeah. They're not related at all. Point, but you just want your quarterback. You want your wide receiver. You want your players to stay healthy through training camp. It's virtually impossible because of the nature of the sport. but you want your guys to be as healthy as possible. I assume you, like the rest of fans of the National Football League, have high expectations for the 49ers this year, Matt.
Absolutely. Like I was actually talking with my barber today about this because he's a LA Rams fan. I was talking to him. I was like, if there's any team in the NFC West that I think can give the Niners a run for their money, I think it's the Rams. But like I don't trust the Cardinals at all, and I still need to see more out of the Seahawks to really think they could pose a threat to the Niners. I think the Rams have the talent to at least be a threat on paper to the Niners, but I feel like the Niners are going to run away with the division, and I don't mean like 6-7 games difference in gap between whoever's in second, but I think the Niners are going to comfortably have that division on lockdown pretty quickly. And I mean, someone asked a really good question. I think it was to George Kittle yesterday, talking about like the timeline that the Niners are on and saying like this might be the best collection of talent the Niners have ever had. But you have a lot of these veterans, and George was talking about this. You have a lot of these veterans that make a lot of money, and contracts we're getting closer to the end of the contract than you are to the beginning of the contract. So time's kind of running out for this group altogether. So they need to kind of capitalize right now. So I think this Niners group is very like, yeah, we've tasted the NFC Championship these last 2 years and not being able to make it through. That can't happen a third straight time. Like, and even Eric Armstead said, like, every single season at the start of the season, everybody thinks they could win a Super Bowl, but really, like, there's 6 to 8 teams that actually legitimately have a shot. We're one of those 6 to 8 teams. So the Niners' expectation, they're taking it one day at a time. They're using every cliche in the book to say they're not thinking about the Super Bowl right now. But I think every aspect of that organization this year is we're making it and winning a Super Bowl.
I do think the Seahawks are finishing second in that division.
Yeah, probably so. I don't think the Rams got much of anything going on.
I think the Rams are having a really hard time keeping track of their public lies.
Well,
that Matt Stafford story was really unfortunate. No, we didn't talk about restructuring his contract. Yeah, they asked me to restructure the contract. Okay.
Yeah, talk about not on the same page.
That doesn't feel healthy to me.
Right there. Before we go any further, you want to shout out your barber? People are, curious about
you do look fantastic, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, my barber's in Roseville. They just went independent from where they were at, which is great. And they changed the name of their shop.
You don't know your barber's name.
Well, I know my guy. His name's Andrew Goat. He's my guy.
That's all you got to do. My guy Andrew.
My guy Andrew. He's my barber. No, he's based in Roseville. He's been my guy for like the last 2 or 3 years. They changed the name of their barber shop, and I didn't want to say the wrong name of the shop, so I'll track that down and I'll get to. Yeah, it's Great Clips. I remember now. It's Great.
Stop
Clips.
It is not. Knock it off. Nobody lines up a beard like that at Great Clips. Look at this guy. This guy's camera ready.
Looking smooth, man. Looking smooth.
This guy is camera ready.
Shout out my boy Andrew. He's amazing. He does great stuff. Former football player too. Not professional, but big football guy.
Well, shout out to you for the work you did with our guy, Coach David Patrick, earlier this week. Really, really good edition of the Locked On Kings podcast, where you guys talked about a variety of different things, including De'Aaron's work with the Sac State Hornets this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, DP is just a phenomenal man in general. It's the second time that he's come on the Locked On Kings podcast and spent a majority of the time not talking about his own program. Like I did it last year. When I met him last year, I met him at training camp because he has a good connection with Mike Brown and a good connection with some of the Kings coaches. And I actually think he told me, I don't know if I'm pretty sure this is accurate, that he lives like on the same street as like Jordy Fernandez or something like that. Now he got a new place. So they're all very close. It's an inner circle over there. So I met him at training camp, and then he was willing to come on the pod and just talk about his relationship with Mike and what he thinks the Kings are going to do. And then we talked about Sac State because he started last year as well. And so he came back on this time, and we spent a lot of time talking about, from a coach's perspective, like how did the Kings improve their defense. He spent a lot of good time sharing a lot of his insights on just playing defense and what he would do and his philosophies. And then at the very end, we start talking about the program, and I've been seeing these things on social media about, hey, De'Aaron's been showing up at Sac State practices. I was like, okay, maybe he stopped by once. They invited him and he showed up. And DP starts going into detail like, no, De'Aaron like hit DP up. De'Aaron texted him and said, hey, man, when are you guys running? When's open gyms? When's open practices? And he's shown up to multiple of these things. He's shown up, and he's David Patrick wants to play fast. He wants to get up and down the floor. Very similar style of basketball to how the Kings are playing. So De'Aaron's out there kind of helping these guys. They're playing with a 24-second shot clock. And DP shared with me off the air after we were done with the conversation that De'Aaron was the first time De'Aaron went out there. I asked him, like, did you guys have like a oh my God, I'm playing with De'Aaron Fox right now, or were they willing to go at him? And De'Aaron actually told David Patrick after the first run that he had with him, he said, "Hey, tell them like I bleed just like everybody else does, so they can come at me a little bit harder, then go a little bit harder with me." And apparently they did. So I mean, I think that speaks volumes to who De'Aaron Fox is as a person. And DP's the best line from that whole conversation was Fox asked for Sac State gear, and DP said, "You ain't gonna wear that. You're a Kentucky guy." And Fox said, "No, I'm a Sac guy." So, I mean, that speaks to everything about how plugged in Fox is to this community. De'Aaron, his wife, Rasay, some of his family, and then Mike Brown showed up at a Sac State game last season. So, I mean, they're very plugged in. They're very connected. I think it's really, really cool. And it doesn't surprise me. Look how De'Aaron, like, this is the side of leadership of De'Aaron Fox that I'm not saying we ignored, but we didn't necessarily give the credit where it was due in the first few years of his career, because we were questioning what's De'Aaron Fox's leadership style. He's a leader by example, but on a bad team, do you need more? Is he the kind of guy that yells and screams and stuff like that? And De'Aaron,
don't sugarcoat it now. We were questioning if De'Aaron Fox was a leader.
Yeah, absolutely. And here he is working with Keegan.
Asked and answered, by the way.
Yeah. Keegan Murray's working with Fox in the offseason. Keegan Murray has 2 amazing California Classic games. De'Aaron's working with the Sac State team on his own time. Like, this man is a leader. Absolutely. He's a leader for this city as well as this ball club.
Absolutely, man. And you hear stories like that, and you hear stories like that, you know, on the regular about him in Sacramento and the connection that he has with the city. And that's why, you know, I don't think they'll ever want him to leave here. Like, just never want him to leave here. He means so much. And that's why I was, you know, when they made the playoffs, I was just like, had to take a second to think back to the feeling when he was drafted, when he was about to be drafted, and the hope and the promise that was brought to this city and to this fan base by him being selected by the Kings, and how he's done it. He's done it. I know people, when you say you did it, you're thinking about a championship. That's the ultimate. We get all that. But we're like, this guy's going to bring us back to national prominence, to, you know, competitiveness, to being a contender, to being a perennial playoff team. He's going to do it for us. And he actually did it. Like, that's the crazy thing. Like, how many times do we see that 49er quarterbacks or other basketball players or pitchers and baseball, whatever? No, this is going to be the guy. This is the one. And he did it. He brought this city back. And I was just so happy for him to have that moment in the playoffs. And now it looks like he wants more of that, you know, with the way he's moving this offseason.
Well, and I think back, too, to you remember the first night that when Domantas Sabonis made his debut, right? I think it was Kings Timberwolves, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Kings win that game, and there's that embrace between Fox and Sabonis, and you could just see in Fox's face, like there's a finally, like, okay, we got something here. And then
the hug heard around the world.
You got that right. Made all of us tear up. And then he gets to okay.
I'm glad you caught that. Thank you, Matt. Go ahead. Sorry, but I'm glad you caught that.
I knew when I said it. Hey, I cried at a Portland Trailblazers game this year. Just leave me alone.
Well, you actually cried, though. That's the difference.
I was, well.
Some people just rub. Some people just rub their face trying to induce tears. Not you, though.
No comment.
No, I know.
I just had to deal with Kevin John's phone in my face while I'm having
an
emotional moment.
It was a moment.
Fine.
I was crying. Half of I was crying for the Kings making it back to playoffs, and the other half was I was crying to watch that version of Portland Trailblazers basketball. But I digress. I have no idea what I was talking about. So
you're talking about Fox.
Yeah. So you see, I mean, because Fox has been, when he did his Players Tribune video, right, going into his second season of committing to the city, and like he's talked openly, repeatedly, not just to Sacramento media but to national media, like, imagine being part of the team that brings this back. I want to be that. He's talked about how Sacramento reminds him of Kentucky and being a college town and the fan base and stuff like that. Like, Fox has talked about Sacramento as home. Hell, Fox wanted to come to Sacramento before he was even drafted here. He was very open about that. Like, Fox has called Sacramento home and been true to Sacramento since day one, even though the team hasn't necessarily been good the entire time. And I think Fox also needed some of the commitment from the organization back to him. And I'm not saying the organization was doing him wrong before, but by Monty McNair making that trade for Domantas Sabonis, bringing in these guys, bringing in Malik, bringing in drafting Keegan Murray, bringing in Kevin Huerter, like, I think that was the organization's full commitment to De'Aaron, the choosing De'Aaron over and choosing to trade Tyrese Halliburton away to give De'Aaron a big man that he'd never played with before, that Marvin Bagley was supposed to be, if we're being honest. Like, that was a true commitment to him when he's been committing to the city the entire time. So to see that finally come together into what the Kings were last season and what the Kings are going to be this season, which I believe is going to be even better than last year, like that, the story in itself is really, really cool. And so it doesn't surprise me at all that Fox is spending his entire offseason, or most of his offseason, in Sacramento and working with Sac State and working with Keegan and texting, like we found out, texting Kings rookies, texting Jalen Slauson immediately saying, "Hey man, can't wait to meet you." He's initiating that conversation. Like, that's who Fox is.
That's tremendous. You think, De'Aaron, this became a conversation thanks to our man Kendrick Perkins, but he thought very highly of the season that De'Aaron Fox could have this upcoming season, and can De'Aaron Fox be an MVP candidate conversation started. And curious your thoughts on that. Could De'Aaron Fox be in the MVP conversation at any point this season?
I think that would require the Sacramento Kings being the top seed in the West. I think that would require the Sacramento Kings making another big jump from, we're talking like 48 to 55 wins. And I think that would require the jump that I can see De'Aaron make. To me, like, the next rung up the ladder was not MVP. To me, the next rung up the ladder for Fox was, you can't keep him out of the All-Star game. Like, there's no way. Like, he has to be in there. And the way we talk about, oh man, it's hard for this guard to get in because Steph Curry's in the West and Dame Lillard's in the West. That needs to be, man, it's going to be real hard for this guard to get in because De'Aaron Fox is in the West. Like, that's what the next step he needs to get to. And to me, the way he does that, because this is a scoring league, like, he's definitely can still get better as a defender, but became a tremendous defender for the Sacramento Kings last season. His game can improve in multiple ways still, and I think he'd say that. But if De'Aaron Fox can continue that fourth quarter Fox clutch player of the year type play that he established himself with this year, but he's bringing 20 to 23 points with him into the fourth quarter consistently, so that fourth quarter explosion brings him up to 32 to 35. I think Fox could easily flirt with 30 points a night. The thing is, last season, he didn't have to for the Kings to become a winning basketball team. I still don't think he has to this year for the Kings to be a winning basketball team. But if for Fox to take that next step, he can be that guy. But at the same time, if you're trying to get Sabonis or keep Sabonis as involved as he is, if you're trying to get Keegan Murray more involved as a scorer, you still want Kevin Huerter to get his looks and touches off of DHOs. You still want Harrison Barnes to have his opportunities, plus the guys coming in off the bench. Like, I don't think Fox cares about the number of points that he has and the number of shots he's getting up. So that's why I don't think Fox really cares about being a MVP or lock for an All-Star. I'm sure he would love to, but that's not his primary motivation. His primary motivation is to win. But if Fox wanted to average 30 points a night in this league, he absolutely could do it.
I agree. No, I agree. And I agree I don't think he's going to go outside of himself to get the numbers. I don't think he did it last year. I think that's just, he recognized the sense of urgency of, trying to become a winning team, stepping his game up, and that resulted in those numbers. I see him, taking a step up numbers wise, potentially with just being better 3-point shooter possibly. And then, maybe the free throw percentage going up just a little bit more. And that could put on a, point or two. And James Ham brought up a good point yesterday, maybe he goes to the foul line more now with a certain level of respect that referees may have for the Kings or for De'Aaron Fox himself as an all-star. Then we could see him, get some of these calls that he hasn't been getting in the past few seasons. So with his numbers going up, I think it's going to be all in the flow of what this team is doing. I don't think it's going to be him searching to do more or searching to get certain numbers up. It's just going to be in the flow of what they're doing.
As someone who's been on the wrong side of De'Aaron popping off on Twitter a couple times,
well,
I truly love that side of that man. Because do you remember a couple years ago, we were talking about, man, when Fox plays angry, look out. Like when Fox is, and Fox has never been afraid to talk. I remember Fox sharing coming into the league, hey, Russell Westbrook is my favorite player. Like Russell Westbrook is one of Fox's favorite players. He modeled his game after Westbrook with his explosiveness as a point guard. As a rookie in his second season, De'Aaron Fox was jawing at Russell Westbrook. De'Aaron don't care. He'll jaw at anybody. He was jawing at Draymond Green. They're close. They're homies. He was jawing at Draymond Green after he stared down at Keegan Murray during the playoffs. Like Fox is not afraid to go out and mouth off to everybody, and he can kind of separate the personal from like the in-game trash talk. But I mean, I don't know if you guys saw Fox popping off a little bit on social media about the new rules about flopping, right? And how they can issue technical fouls for flopping. And Fox like, don't put that in the hands of the referee. Like, what if I'm actually hitting the chest and I fly backwards and you say that's a flop and foul, or that's a flop, and you issue me a tech? Like, I tend to agree with Fox there. Like that.
We literally watched him get forearm shivered 10 feet at the end of the Toronto game yesterday.
My goodness.
And someone might say, hey, that's a tech and you're getting called. I mean, we all know De'Aaron Fox should get more calls than he gets. And I do hope that star whistle is starting to come his way a little bit too. It's sad that we even have to rely on a star whistle, but that's the reality of the NBA, that those stars get those foul calls more. But Fox attacks the basket plenty of times and aggressively enough to deserve to go to the line. Fox puts himself on the line a ton, just going at the rim, and he's not afraid to go at anybody. So you're right. Fox getting to the free throw line, getting to the foul line more is definitely another step. And James is absolutely right about another step in his development too.
I love that Matt almost said hell and then remembered where he went to school.
Now Division II, William Jessup.
Yeah, NCAA D2, baby.
Yeah, man.
Who's the Kings' third best player right now?
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It seemed like Kenny posed the question in a certain way yesterday, and then it was like, well, no, it's this person. Well, and then Ramsey mentioned like, no, it's this person, and it was like, well, wait a minute, who is the Kings' third best player?
I posed it as a statement. I said, these are the three.
You did,
players.
And I twisted it up and made it a question because that's what I do. I take Kenny's words and I twist them.
Who it is, who it should be, and who I think it's gonna be are three different answers.
Okay, who is it?
I don't like how direct you are. I think
it's tough. It's a tough question.
It might be Malik.
That's what Kenny said.
I think it's Malik.
That's what started the conversation. Kenny said it's Malik, and I was like, well, wait a minute, it's not Keegan. And then Ramsey was like, wait a minute, no, it's Harrison Barnes. Oh, don't do that.
No,
don't do that.
I disagree.
No, don't do that.
I disagree with that.
Don't do that. Apologize to Harrison and Brittany. That was a terrible noise that you made.
Harrison, I love you. You're not the third best player on the Sacramento Kings. I'm
okay.
sorry.
All right. Why not?
Harrison, because Harrison Barnes is a Swiss Army knife. Harrison Barnes fits into how the Sacramento Kings play basketball, and he does a damn good job at it. Harrison Barnes as the fourth or fifth option for the Sacramento Kings, I think is perfect going forward.
Not talking options. We're talking about who's the best player right now.
Harrison is not good enough or great enough at any specific area to be the third best on this Kings team. He's not good enough as a go-to scorer. He's not good enough as a rebounder. He's not good enough as a defender. He's not good enough as a passer. Wow. He's good at all things, but he's not great at anything. That's why he's great for his role in Sacramento, but he's not that guy. Like
steel chair right to the back of Harrison Barnes.
Man, why you gonna make me out to be like I'm gonna get a tweet now from somebody who's gonna get mad at me? Like
De'Aaron after this.
I was captain.
On my teammate like that.
Don't point me. It'd be the people closest to you, man. It'd be the people that set you up to fail. Because I was talking about bring Harrison Barnes back all summer long, and now you put me in this position.
So let me ask the obvious. Who's it gonna be?
Keegan.
Okay. This year?
Yes. I think by the end of the season, I think Keegan Murray is the third leading scorer and third best player and go-to option on this Kings team.
Which is funny because I think Kevin Huerter was the third leading scorer on this team.
I think he was too. Yeah, Kevin Huerter will come back we didn't. I wanted to ask.
I say it's funny because we never even mentioned him.
We don't
as a possibility.
No, I was thinking about him too because Kevin Huerter is extremely important to what the Sacramento Kings do. Like Kevin Huerter, with his ability on DHOs, his ability to space the floor, and how prolific of a three-point shooter he is. You have to respect where Kevin is at all times, plus how well he moves off of the ball, which opens up space for Fox and Sabonis. Like Kevin Huerter is a perfect piece for what the Kings do offensively. The Kings offense does not work. If it's just Keegan out there as the Kings three-point shooter without Kevin Huerter, I don't think the Kings offense works nearly as well as they do with Kevin Huerter out there on the floor. Even when Huerter is not shooting the basketball well, he had a very poor playoffs, and we all know that, and he would say that. He still had Klay Thompson chasing him all over the floor at all times. Like the Warriors game planned specifically to take him away. Like that's how good he is. Mm-hmm. Now the Warriors were able to do it too effectively, and he needs to figure that out, and the Kings need to figure that out. And also, I think someone posted, it might have been NBA University on Twitter that posted like his shooting percentages and the decline over the course of the year. And then there was the All-Star break, and then he spiked again and then declined. Like the fatigue of the entire season and being that guy consistently for the entire season, the Kings need more of that.
He acknowledged that too. He acknowledged that he wasn't in the shape he needed to be for this season. Yeah. And this team.
Kevin Huerter doesn't have to be a top 3 player on this team to be essential to their success. And also I think Kevin Huerter is underrated as a passer, and his mid-range game is really, really good too. So, but I don't think the Kings need Kevin Huerter to be a top 3 player. If he ends up being that guy, great. But I think Kevin can average the exact same to maybe slightly less points per game next season with Keegan making that jump, and the Kings are a significantly better basketball team.
Well, what if Keegan doesn't make the jump? Because we're really putting a lot on this kid. No, he's going to jump. He's going to jump. We're talking about it almost as if it's an absolute.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like it is after, dropping 41 at the California Classic.
Oh, no. And believe me,
California Classic.
I'm guilty of that. I absolutely am guilty
of
that. Like, I have not allowed myself to think about Keegan Murray not progressing. But
I'm not saying he can't progress. I'm just saying we're talking like he's scoring 20 points a game next year.
All indications from what we hear from the Kings, like Monty McNair's conversation in The Athletic with Sam Amick and Anthony Slater, like all indications to me point to the belief that the Sacramento Kings are going to get better internally. The Sacramento Kings are going to get significantly better with this core being here. And the first guy you look at in that sense is the rookie becoming a sophomore, the first-year player becoming a second-year player who broke records for three-point shooting, but has more of his game that he can showcase, he can unlock. And I think the big thing is, too, Mike Brown has been asking for more from Keegan even last season. Like Mike Brown has been asking, attack with more aggression, put the ball on the floor more, create your own shot, rebound. Like he's been asking for more, and Keegan has taken the last year plus this offseason to get more comfortable doing that. So it is not all on Keegan Murray to vault the Sacramento Kings from first-round playoff exit to deep playoff run. But I think if we're looking at the Kings, if we're talking about hopefully a little less than a year from now, previewing the Kings versus whoever in the Western Conference Finals, and we're looking at, man, what has been the secret to getting them there? We're always talking about Fox and Sabonis as 1 and 2, but man, look at what Keegan Murray's doing. Look at what Keegan Murray has become. Plus what he showed us from game 4 through 7 of the playoff series against the Warriors and how important he can be to that success. Like, I think Keegan is set up to have a breakout year without being the primary focus. It's a breakout year for a second-year player on a good basketball team versus a breakout year for a second-year player who is the man on a bad basketball team with all expectations on his shoulders.
Great stuff as always from our man, Matt George. Make sure you're subscribed to the Locked On Kings podcast.